Okay, 15. All right. Okay, good morning. My name is James Yu. I'm from the Malaysian Association of Canada and currently based in Waterloo, Ontario. We are very happy this morning to be able to spend time with Timothy Tye, the founder of Learn Penang Hokkien. He is based in Penang. Timothy is an advocate of keeping Penang Hokkien alive and actively encourages the use of this unique language because Penang Hokkien is quite distinct from other forms of Hokkien such as Klang Hokkien, KL Hokkien, even Singapore or Taiwanese Hokkien. And Timothy has developed a systematic way to document and promote Penang Hokkien. Since 2007, he has worked as a full-time blogger and a social media influencer. Welcome, Timothy. Chapa boy. Yeah.
Chapalia, thank you very much, James.
Thank you. I'm also joined by my colleague Win Shi, who is also with the Malaysian Association of Canada. And before we begin our fun program today, I'd like to first honor the Canadian tradition of acknowledging that we are on the treaty lands and territories of the First Peoples of Canada, particularly the Mississauga of Credit First Nation, and to pay tribute to the legacy of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples in particular. So welcome, Timothy. I think a very good way to start our session is just to begin with this question. What was the catalyst that motivated you to pursue your current work in promoting Penang Hokkien?
Thanks, James. I consider Penang Hokkien to be my mother tongue. And my mother tongue is almost like my physical, biological mother. In this world today, many people's mother tongues are in danger of extinction. And to have our mother tongue being in danger of extinction is like having your biological mother ailing. If our biological mother is ailing, wouldn't you want to do whatever you can to save your mother? In the same way, I'm doing whatever I can to save Penang Hokkien, and I'm fortunate in that I have the knowledge as well as the technology to do this.
Okay, yeah, very good. Because I myself can't speak any Penang Hokkien, but because I've joined your Facebook group, I have to say that I've picked up quite a few words. So this is really good stuff that you're doing. Thank you very much. Well, can you give us a brief history of the Penang people? Because we know that through the Chinese diaspora of the 1800s into the Straits settlement, how did the Penang people come to be?
The story or the history of Penang Hokkien is quite fascinating, and we are still learning more and more about it. And in the past 100 years or so, in fact, we have only sketchy information about the history of Penang Hokkien, but we are now learning more and more. In the past, we understood that the language came with the merchants who established clan associations in Penang. But now, as we dig deeper and probe into the history of the language, we find that the language is actually predating the founding of Penang, because the people, the early pioneers who arrived in this area, inhabited the whole region from as far north as Phuket to as far west as Medan, Kelantan in the east, and Kedah to the south, and they came from a part of Fujian province in China called Changzhou. And as a result of that, this whole region speak a variant of Hokkien, which we call as the Changzhou variant of Hokkien. And today in Malaysia, we know it as Penang Hokkien.
That's okay. That's really interesting. And you're right. There are a lot of similarities between Penang Hokkien and Medan Hokkien. So how did Penang Hokkien evolve specifically? What makes it distinct compared to the other forms of Hokkien that we mentioned earlier on?
Okay. If we trace back to the roots of the Hokkien language, and if you know the Fujian province itself is a mountainous region, and during the past there is no telecommunication, so the different variants of Hokkien came about. There was a time in the 18th century, in fact the 17th century, where the Ming dynasty collapsed. and it created a wave of refugees leaving Fujian province to populate the entire Southeast Asia.
Mm.
A different variant of Hokkien arrived in different parts of Southeast Asia. The one that arrived in the Penang side is the Changzhou variant, whereas further south is the variant from Xiamen. And as a result, there is different variants that crop up that we speak today. So that is the reason why there are different variants of Hokkien spoken in different parts of Southeast Asia. And the Changzhou variant is unique to this part, which includes Penang.
Mm. So what makes it unique? Like what are the typical characteristics of Penang Hokkien that when people hear it, like, aha, that is no doubt, undoubtedly Penang Hokkien is very different from Klang. What are some of these characteristics?
Some of the characteristics include the pronunciation. Like, for example, the word for door. In Penang Hokkien, we say as mui, whereas in the Singapore or Klang Hokkien, we say as meng. And then rice is mui in Penang Hokkien, whereas it's peng in Klang or in Singapore Hokkien. So I can say that from Perak southwards, they are speaking the different type of Hokkien from Penang and northwards.
Interesting. Yeah. So what are your thoughts in terms of the daily usage of Hokkien? How do you find people's usage of Hokkien in general?
Ever since the Mandarin language, modern Mandarin was introduced in the early part of the 20th century, all Chinese languages that is not Mandarin has faced a decline at varying degree, and is no exception for Penang Hokkien. And furthermore, Penang Hokkien all this while has existed as an oral language, whereas Mandarin has all along been modern Mandarin has all along been a written language. So Penang Hokkien is at a major disadvantage when we move into the age of social media, where communication transform into telecommunication. People no longer speak face to face like you and I are doing right now, but they communicate silently by keying into the keyboard or the keypad. And so you can communicate in the comfort of your own home without looking at each other, but by typing on Facebook, on Twitter, WhatsApp, and so on. So if your language is not able to communicate in this written form, the language is in danger of losing its relevancy.
That's right. And Winchi, we talked about this, didn't we? Compared to say Mandarin, it's very easy. Even if you don't read the characters, you can still sound it out.
Pick up the pinyin.
Exactly. So we were talking about some of these challenges, and yeah, you're right. It's a verbal and not so written. What's the other challenges that you find in Penang?
I believe that it's not just Penang Hokkien, but a lot of other Chinese languages are finding an identity for themselves. A lot of people associated these Chinese languages, or they call it as Chinese dialects, as a way to communicate with the elderly. So, and sometimes it's a way to communicate with the unsophisticated or the uneducated people. So there is an identity crisis facing these Chinese languages. We want to show people that we speak Penang Hokkien not because we are not educated, but rather we are in fact quite educated people who are quite tech savvy. But why do we still want to retain our language? Because it's part of our cultural identity. This is who we are. It doesn't mean that we are uneducated, but it means that this is a special part of us that nobody can take away.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, I'm seeing that similar problem in like Klang as well. Among my peers, who would just become a new parent, they're not planning to teach their kids like dialect. Like myself, I grew up speaking Mandarin only, and I only pick it up like other like dialects at school or like from TV. So like I think part of it is just like learning dialect is like an afterthought for some of the parents be like, oh yeah, we probably don't need this, and you don't need this for your job. You only need to talk to your grandpa, grandma. So I think it's important right now, like for us to realize that like if we don't start speaking this dialect, like our next generation won't be able to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I think apart from Penang, Kuala Lumpur and Penang are bastions of the dialects in that. In Kuala Lumpur, they are still using Cantonese quite extensively. And in Penang, they are still using Penang Hokkien quite extensively. And we do not want to lose our mother tongue, our language to any other languages, even though it's quite clear that you can communicate much better with English, with Mandarin, and so on. But this is part of us, and we want to retain this, even though we want to move in tandem with the world and show that we are actually quite modern.
Exactly.
That's right.
I just want to bring up one fun fact. When I went back to Klang like a while ago, one of our like dentists, like he speak Hokkien also. So I think like we shouldn't also try to like tie the language to be only Chinese can speak it. It should be like everyone in Klang should be able to speak Hokkien, and like everyone in like Penang can speak like Penang Hokkien. Doesn't matter their like ethnicity they are.
Yes, yes. And right now, we are trying to create learning tools so that anybody who wants to learn Penang Hokkien can have the opportunity to learn Penang Hokkien, regardless whether you're Hokkien, you're Cantonese, or whether you are Malay or Indian or whatever race. You can walk into the bookstore and find language books on so many other languages, but not on Penang Hokkien. So this is one thing that myself and my fellow enthusiasts are very excited about, to make our language available, to teach it, and to expose our culture to the world.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Can you tell us more about this work you're doing? Like, who are you collaborating it, and then what is your like end goal?
Yeah, sure. So I'm working to establish a written system for Penang Hokkien so that the language can be easily communicated in writing. And to do that, we are compiling a dictionary. We have an online dictionary right now where almost all the words that we use in the daily basis can be found there. There's about 6,000 words, and it's online, so it's accessible anywhere in the world with audio. So you can click to hear every word that is used there, along with the example sentences. I'm fortunate that I am able to have like-minded friends who are very technologically savvy. I have a programmer to help me create all things, and I have people who do reading of sentences so that we can show people how to speak our language and teach people, anybody who wants to learn the language in written form as well as in verbal form. So we are very, very excited that our language is getting a breath of life in this modern age.
That is so cool. And then you get the documentation as well. Right now, it's like living on the internet. I like it.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So besides of your Facebook group and or like other channels, what are the opportunities exist that to promote Penang Hokkien right now?
We are looking for all avenues that we can use to promote the use of our language. Of course, it all starts by having a writing system, because in this present world, you need at the very basic a writing system, and when that is in place, you can write stories, you can write songs, you can create plays, dramas, TV movies, and so on. The possibility is endless. I can't think of anything more. But once you have a written system and there's an opportunity to create literacy in Penang Hokkien, then the opportunity is just so vast, and we are very, very excited that our language has a chance to survive, well, at least throughout my lifetime.
Yeah. I think this is really important, and it's more than just Penang Hokkien is unique. It also makes Malaysia unique for the reasons we talked about. It shouldn't just be, if you're a Hokkien person, then you speak it. It should be one of the many languages that we celebrate in Malaysia and beyond. Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's so true. Penang Hokkien is not spoken just by the Hokkien people in Penang. It's spoken by all the Chinese people in Penang, the Cantonese, the Hakka, the Teochew. In Penang in particular, we have successive waves of migrants from different parts of southern China, and they have all been using Penang Hokkien for the last 200 years. And it was only in recent times that the role has been taken over by Mandarin, and Penang Hokkien is losing out. But we are now in the putting an effort to retain it because it's so much part of our culture and our heritage.
Mm-hmm. And then, like while you're doing like this project, like what are some of the barriers that like you have like encountered, and then what are some of them you're hoping to like break through going forward?
We are trying to do something quite monumental in that we are trying to create literacy for Penang Hokkien, a language that has all the while being an oral language. And so it is tough to teach a language that is not taught in school, that doesn't serve any particular purpose, because to communicate you can easily use English. So this is a language that we are trying to preserve and to transform into the written form to give to the masses that don't really need the language. So we need to appeal to their sense of identity. You don't learn Penang Hokkien because you need it for literacy to communicate with other people. You need it because it's part of yourself, of who you are as a modern Penang person. That's why we want to have something that is all our own. And since we started this, I'm so comforted to know that our membership at the Learn Penang Hokkien Facebook group has grown to all over the world. We have members from, I think, all the major English-speaking countries of the world. And they feel so comfortable, and that there is a group that is doing this effort to preserve the language, and for them to be able to communicate with us, they feel that they have found a piece of home wherever they are in the world. And for me, I feel that this is something which I enjoy very much. I feel it is satisfying, even though the work has been so challenging.
Yeah, and I think like after you left Malaysia, you feel like you're more patriotic about it. You feel more proud about your identity. I was like, I never speak like any other languages like before I left. And now I feel like I want to find people to speak Hokkien. I want to find people to speak other like I can feel like I can kind of like bring out my Malaysian identity.
Yes, I understand what you mean, because I also have Zoom meetings with participants from all over the world, and we feel so joyful. They feel so joyful that they are able to communicate in this language, which otherwise they'll feel they are in a sort of foreign place, and to be able to communicate in their home language brings home to wherever they are.
Yes. Yeah. Because I feel like when you speak in this particular language, this is something you grow up with, right? And then like you want to be able to express yourself. If not, like I cannot say like "walao" at home because like, no one understands. So I think something like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Timothy, you have a lot of people also approaching you for one-on-one coaching sessions, right? Yeah. How's that going?
I try not to offer one-on-one coaching sessions because that's very, very time-consuming. And so I try to create online tools that they can use. I have a free Learn Penang Hokkien session on memrise, where they can learn words in step by step and listen to the audio. And of course, there is the dictionary. And at this present moment, we are working on a video, a definitive guide to Penang Hokkien that provides a comprehensive explanation of the language and its grammar, so that anybody who wants to learn Penang Hokkien or is curious about Penang Hokkien is able to pick up the language. And I have voice contributors from people from all over the world. I have one from UK, one from Germany, and so on, who are reading for me. They are all from Penang, and they want to contribute to this because it makes them feel so valued that their Hokkien can be used, even though they are so far away.
Mm.
And when this project is completed, we will have this video that we can share with the world. And anybody who wants to know Penang Hokkien or is just fascinated to find out more about Penang Hokkien can listen to it and learn a little bit about it.
Yeah. And I think the unique aspect of Penang Hokkien is really the appeal, you know. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about something that might be a little bit of interest and also fun to our listeners, because we talked about this before. You know, there's no real equivalent of good morning. You know, that's the typical greeting when you see somebody and you speak in Cantonese would be "Zhou san," good morning, or in Mandarin "Zhao an." But there's no real equivalent in Penang Hokkien other than "Have you eaten?" You know, "Chap pa boy," or also asking somebody, you know, "Lu jia ha me." You know, it's always around food, isn't it?
I suppose the Hokkien people have gone through periods of where food isn't so available, and so to express a concern for whether you have eaten is the most courteous way to ask how you are.
That's right.
So we greet each other by asking, "Have you eaten?"
Have you eaten? Yeah, it's very cultural. And I'm going to make all of our fellow Malaysians and even Singaporeans who are listening in, especially in Canada, to feel a bit homesick and also to miss the food that you get in Penang. You know, Gurney Drive, anyone? Yeah, Pulau Tikus and so on. Well, speaking of
We
which,
are famous for our food. We love food. We love our hawker food as well as our home cooked food. And I enjoy myself living in Penang. And as a social media influencer, I get invited all over to enjoy food in a lot of restaurants as well as hotels. If you follow me on Facebook, you see that I eat all the time. But now, because of COVID, they send to my home rather than I go over there.
Wow, that's so fortunate. That's amazing. Yeah. Hey, Winchi, shall we do something a little bit different now? You know, we want to let's imagine like right now for us in Canada, it's Saturday morning, and what do people like to do on Saturday mornings? Imagine that you are in Penang.
Makan.
Yeah. So let's take an imaginary trip. You know, again, this is reinforcing the homesickness of all our fellow Malaysians and even Singaporeans in Canada. Imagine, you know, that you are in Penang now, and let's choose a favorite spot. I understand Jelutong Market or Pasar is very very famous and popular as a breakfast place, right? So let's learn. You know, how would you say this in Penang Hokkien by maybe taking us through a stroll? So where should we go first, Winchi? I'm hungry. What about you? Sorry, Lu Jia Ha Me.
Walang ke Jelutong Market je lah.
Yeah. So where shall we go? What do you want to start with? Shall we go?
Well, Jelutong Market happens to be my venue every Saturday morning, where my wife and I will go there to do our marketing, and then after we have breakfast there. So assume that today we have two guests, Winchi and James. You just follow us to Jelutong Market, and then we'll see there's so many things that you can try here. And so, of course, you might want to ask, what is this? What is that? And so on. In Penang Hokkien, there will be Chile Sahami. Chile Sahami, what is this? Chile Sahami. So there's like char kway teow, Hokkien mee, lor mee, a lot of things.
Okay. I feel like Hokkien mee. What about you, Winchi?
I can do char kway teow.
Okay, let's go. So how would we order if we say now we're making our way to the table, we sit down, and then the stall owner comes over. So what do you say?
Char kway teow chipua. So one plate of char kway teow.
What about drinks?
By the way, the Hokkien mee in Penang is different from the Hokkien mee in Kuala Lumpur or Singapore.
Absolutely.
So the Hokkien mee in Penang is spicy. So if you are from Kuala Lumpur or from Singapore and you order Hokkien mee, you'll get something which is very different from what you get from back home. So our Hokkien mee is spicy, and then of course there's laksa. Laksa is also every city will have its own laksa, but Penang laksa is also different. And then there's chichong fan, There's ban jian gui. You
Oh my God, making me so hungry.
Sounds like we're going to be really full up.
Yeah, you're going to be very full if you're going to try everything. Yeah,
How do you
it's a
order
lot of time to visit.
Yeah, how do you order drinks?
Depends. You want coffee ice, kopi peng, kopi C, kopi
Tea?
teh peng.
Tapping.
Peng will be the ice version.
Okay, kopi C for me, please.
Kopi C, kopi C. So
let's say now we finish our breakfast. How do we ask for bill?
Sui xiao or xiu lui. Xiu lui to collect money. But usually we pay when the food arrives.
That's right. Yeah.
We pay when the food arrives. And when we are done, we just leave the table. So we don't have to bother that have we paid or not. So in Penang, we pay when the food arrives.
Okay. And unlike Canada, we don't have to tip.
Yes.
We don't have to tip. Yes.
Okay, so how much is a plate of what we just ordered? When she ordered char kway teow, I ordered Penang Hokkien. So how much is that each?
Hokkien mee would be about 550.
550. Okay.
Char kway teow, if it's with big prawns, it can be about 8 ringgit or 10 ringgit.
Okay.
But in Jeloton market, you can get about 6 ringgit for the char kway teow.
So what do I say? I've got a 10 ringgit note here. So I say, I'm gonna pay for myself and Winchi. Oh, here's 20 ringgit. So how do I say that? And how do I communicate?
So 20 ringgit would be ji chap kho.
Okay.
And then when you get back the change, how do you say like maybe like $5 ringgit and then 50 cents?
550 would be go kho puan. That means 5.5 go kho puan. But of course, in real life, we don't really say anything. He just hand you the money.
Yep.
So go kho puan. Go kho puan will be 550.
Okay.
But all this is taught in my video. The video that we're working on will teach you how to order things, how to express currency, time, and so on.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, but while we're doing this, oh my goodness, I just realized, Winchi, I hope you didn't double park when we came here, because I know this is what everybody does, right? But I'm very concerned about that. So how do you say, hey, did you park properly or not?
你停車好好冇？你停車好好冇？
我未記了，
我未記了。
我個垮。
And what if you're driving and you want to park properly and then this person cuts in and you get angry? How do you say, hey, that was my spot?
這是我嘅所在嚟。
Your mother don't teach you manners. How do you say that?
Oh my God.
冇阿呆呀。
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So all right. So now we have safely parked and all that. We still have time, right? So what do you want to do after this, Winchi?
Yeah, then we have to go buy groceries because I have to invite our mother-in-law come in for dinner, so to prepare.
Your mother-in-law. Okay. Is she very fussy with food?
Yeah, need to make it very good.
Oh, okay. So you have to especially get the freshest ingredient. What did she like to eat, Winchi?
We'll start with some meat and then some vegetable first, and then see what we can put together lah.
Okay. So how do you say? Hey, let's go and buy some groceries now. How do you say that?
Like 買菜.
Okay.
So we say bay in Penang Hokkien. And then meat is ba.
Okay. So
but would be pork also, But would be pork also. And then beef would be guba.
Okay. So let's get up and let's walk. But oh no, I see somebody. Hey, that's Mrs. Ng. Can we please avoid her because I think she's gonna start gossiping and all that. I don't want to talk to her. How do you say that? How do you say something like that?
Let's say Mrs. Ng Let's say Mrs. Ng 啦，嗱搞好Sam搞好啊，我咪解講話咯。 我咪解講我咯，嚟搞笑，
Okay, quick, walk faster, walk the other way.
快心，啊，我咪都到 Mrs. Ng 啊，哎呦，個雞變了，
Like,
I
okay.
love it.
Okay, so okay, we escaped Mrs. Ng. Okay, let's quickly, but make sure she's not around. Okay, let's go. But I see our neighbor, Mrs. Tan. Mrs. Tan is very nice, so that's different. Shall we stop and ask her how is her family? How how's her husband doing? I heard he's been staying at home lately. How is he doing? How would you carry on a short conversation?
Mrs. Tan, 搞咋？ chào bác boy.
Papa boy.
假哈密
Mr. Tan, ho bo.
Okay, and then she'll say bo.
Bo ah, usually it's ho ah.
No, he's always doing this. Always complain. Because he cannot go out and enjoy his meal because he's so scared of going out, right? So how do you respond to that?
Men Huan Lo, don't be worried. If Pacham La boy, has he been vaccinated?
Okay.
Pacham La boy. Mr. Tan Lo ni, the Pacham La boy, have you been vaccinated? Balu Pate it ki. I've just been jabbed once.
Oh, okay. So when is your second time, Mrs. Tan?
Teji Cham Tisia. When is your second shot? I'll wait it next month.
Okay.
I'll wait it
Next month.
Okay.
I'll is next. Wait it is month. So I'll wait it.
Okay.
I'll wait it. Lalu ni, lu pala apa? Wah, baru pate jam na tu. I have just got one jab.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Tan. Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. Tan.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mrs. Tan. It was so nice to see you. But I think Winchi and I and Timothy have to go and buy some groceries now. Okay, take care. And don't double park.
It will be bye-bye also. We
don't say bye-bye.
We got switch quite regularly into English.
Okay.
So yeah, words like bye-bye will be there.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Because Penang Hokkien is very, I would say famous for borrowing from Malay, from English, etc.
Yes,
absolutely.
But we also give our words to Malay also, like
that's right.
Ang Pao, and so on.
Okay. Hey, quick, because your mother-in-law is coming, so we better get the groceries. Let's go. Oh, but careful. I see there's a pile of I don't know what is that. There's a pile of something on the floor. Don't step on it. So how do you say all that?
小心！我还没見啦，在頭下唔通立落去。
Okay.
Siap.
Okay, Winchi, since it's your mother-in-law, what kind of meat do you want to buy for her?
Maybe some pork belly.
Pork belly will be samjan.
Okay.
Here, it's interesting to explain something. Hokkien borrows extensively from Cantonese also. Sometimes you hear a word in Hokkien and you thought it's Cantonese, but it is not Cantonese, but it's Hokkien.
Such as?
And if you samjan is 3 layers. But the usual word for 3 is sa. But some is 3, but it is known as in the literary pronunciation. Hokkien has 2 layers of pronunciation, the local vernacular pronunciation and the formal literary pronunciation. And the literary pronunciation borrows from other languages because Hokkien has all along been an oral language until such time that the Hokkien people, when they need to write and they don't have a writing system, and other Chinese languages have a more established writing system, they have to borrow the pronunciation from neighboring language, and that happens to be Cantonese. And so in the literary pronunciation, some of the words sounds Cantonese, but it's Hokkien.
Very cool.
Okay.
Never know about this.
Yeah.
Like, do you know where is Ngo Kim Tiam?
I know in Chinese, I forgot what is in English.
Ngõ kim
It's like
tiam
the
is
sound
hardware
like nails, hammer.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
hardware store. So
Yes, hardware.
if you look at the word ngõ kim, ngõ is 5. But the Hokkien vernacular pronunciation for 5 is go.
Mm.
But the literary pronunciation is ngõ.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Oh.
Okay.
I think in Klang we say go king tiam. So very different. So
Actually,
interesting.
the proper way to say is ngõ kim tiam rather than go kim tiam.
Okay.
So maybe we simplify it.
Learn deeper, then you understand. Oh, you have to say go, not go kim tiam, but ngõ kim tiam.
Ngo king tiam. Good to know.
Okay.
Very
So those are the things like why is it one or it? It and chit.
Yeah. While we're here, can you say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in like Penang Hokkien?
Oh yeah, of course. Chit no sa si go la chit pe gao zat.
Yeah. Sounds like Cantonese gao sap. There are a lot of similarities there.
There's similarities. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
I think after this, I can converse with my mother-in-law, who's actually from Penang.
Oh, is it? I see.
I think she'll be very happy to know I'm doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but back to Winchie's mother-in-law. So everything okay? You got your
maybe we'll get some fish.
Fish also okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
what are some fish popular in the market?
Fish. Penang Hokkien is hu. I believe Klang Hokkien is
Her.
Yeah, it's her. So Penang Hokkien is hu. So hu. Kambong hu is mackerel. And then hanga hu is stingray.
Hanga hu.
Starting to celebrate thinking about all this. Okay, good.
Then prawn is hair. Crab is steam.
Okay.
And then vegetables.
Yes.
Tomato is Ang Mo Kio.
Ang Mo Kio.
Ang Mo Kio.
The suburb in Singapore, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a place. So Ang Mo Kio can mean tomato, and it can also mean Westerners Bridge.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
What about potato?
Potato in Penang Hokkien, I call it as kanang chu. Kanang chu is potato. Some people say holan chu. And this reflects the nature of a written an oral language. An oral language is such that sometimes there's distortion, and so some words may be pronounced in quite a number of variety of ways. Like for example, the word that like this and that. That you can say hele or hale or hile. So, like in Penang Hokkien, we can hear hale hile and whatever, and we will understand is that.
Wow.
Okay. Good. All right. I think this is, if anyone's not motivated to check out your resources and all that, I think now they will be. Yeah. So I think this is good. We have we finished all our shopping already?
Almost done. So I think we can now like start prepare.
Yeah, that's right.
How to cook.
How to cook and so on. Okay. Yeah. Because I think our colleague Christine wanted me to buy a Pagoda brand singlet and also the Good Morning towel. I think we can find all these things in the Jelutong market, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You can find anything. It's a surprising place.
Yeah,
everything.
But those two items specifically, because again, in touch with our Malaysian roots. Because I don't believe I've ever worn a Pagoda brand singlet. Maybe I'm at the age where I can start doing that, and just to be that kind of age group. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you for having me here.
No worries. I think we have a couple of more questions, and then we might want to also open up if any of our listeners have any questions. So, Winchie, over to you.
Yeah. So to kind of like cap it off, like what are some of the most important aspects of Penang Hokkien for you, and then like what are some of the must-have elements in your opinion?
I would say a very important aspect of Penang Hokkien is the tone. If a language is written without paying attention to the tone, you can't understand what is going on, because depending on which tone you use, it will mean different thing. In any tonal language is such. If you use the wrong tone, that will mean a different thing. And for Hokkien, it is double difficult in that when words are placed against each other, they change their tone. So tones don't stay the same. The tones change when you put words together. And so to learn Penang Hokkien or Hokkien in general, you need to master how to change the tone. And this changing of tones makes Hokkien sound, particularly Penang Hokkien, sounds like a sing-song language. It sounds as though you are singing the language rather than you're speaking the language. Like for example, the word for do work. Do is 做. Work 工. But when you do work, it's not 做工, but it's 做工. So 做 has changed to 做. So 做工. Drink is lim, water is 水. So drink water is not lim 水 but lim 水. Lim 水. So the word lim has changed to lim. So if you learn the words, standalone words separately, and you fit it together without changing the tone, it doesn't mean anything. You need to learn how to change the tone. So when we want to teach Penang Hokkien to people, one of the basic elements is to learn how to change the tone, so that you sound fluent in Penang Hokkien and you'll be able to express yourself clearly. Even though a Penang Hokkien person listening to maybe a Westerner speaking Penang Hokkien might be able to understand what he is trying to say, but if he can express himself with the correct tone, it will sound so much sharper and so natural as a true Penang Hokkien speaker. So the fundamental is the tone. So if you ask about the aspect, that is the tone. And learning that tone itself will carry the language more clearly.
That's right. I'm also comforted because I've been told I speak every form of Chinese dialect or Mandarin like a Westerner. So at least now there's hope for people like me. Yes. Okay. All right. Before we go, we have a bit of time. I'd like to ask if any of our listeners has any specific question for Timothy, and would like to ask it now. We'll take a couple of questions. How do you say crickets chirping? Because usually that's a sound effect when we're waiting for something to happen. How do you say that in Penang Hokkien?
Chang click tan.
Chang click tan.
Chang click tan.
Okay.
Which one is the cricket word?
Chang click.
Chang click. Oh.
Chang click.
Chang click. Okay. Good.
Very interesting.
Well, I think our listeners must be actively looking at the resources. Oh, but and thank you, Christine, for sharing that link. There's a lot of resources available. Maybe we can end the session by with this last question, Timothy. What are your personal hopes, your personal vision for the future of Penang Hokkien?
Well, I have to be realistic. Penang Hokkien is a language that is not taught in school. So I know that it will never be taught in school. It will always be a language that is used by people at home. It's not going to be a language that people need it. It's not an essential language. And so if I am able to preserve and develop Penang Hokkien and move it into a modern age to show the world that we, the speakers of Penang Hokkien, are modern people. We speak the language not because we have to, but rather because we want to demonstrate our uniqueness, our identity to the world, and be able to use it with pride. I think we have accomplished what we set out to do.
Okay.
For that is the whole purpose of preserving Penang Hokkien and to modernize it with a modern writing system that everybody anywhere in the world who have been speaking Penang Hokkien all along can now learn to communicate in writing. And I also would like to take this opportunity to invite anybody who speaks Penang Hokkien to join us on Facebook at Learn Penang Hokkien, so that you can have fun with us to use the language which you might not have the chance to use for quite some time. And finally, you have a watering hole or an oasis that you can all come together and enjoy Penang Hokkien together with us.
Okay, that's wonderful. And just to paraphrase one question that we just got, how might somebody who is comfortable speaking, Baba Nonya Hokkien, how easy would it to adapt to Penang Hokkien? Are there differences?
If you're talking about the Baba Nyonyas, the Baba Nyonyas actually speak Baba Malay. The pure Baba Nyonya will speak Baba Malay, whereas the Baba Nyonya themselves actually trace their roots to Changchou also, so there will be not much difference.
Okay, so they'll be able to equally and pick it up and
yes. And the Baba Nyonya of Penang itself speaks the same Penang Hokkien as the modern Penang Hokkien people.
Okay.
So there's no difference.
Okay, good.
Good to know.
All right, good to know. Thank you, Kamsia, very much.
Yep.
So I think I think we've got quite a lot of good stuff covered today. Timothy, thank you so much for spending this time. I cannot Kamsia enough.
Yes.
I think I speak for both Winchi and I, and also our listeners. I think this has been really, really interesting, and we appreciate your time with us, and we look forward to seeing the progress and continued growth of Learn Penang Hokkien. So have a good evening, and from us here in Canada, good morning, and hope everyone has a good rest of the weekend. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Take care, and God bless.